Hello. This video is to show how to do the color changes in Amigurumi, and it's applicable to my smaller Domokun pattern. And I did his mouth in inline crochet stitches instead of a felt fabric panel. So I'm just going to show you how I did that in case you didn't know. So here's the top of his head, and I've done the first 4 stitches in the row where the color switch is going to take place. And this pattern, as I've mentioned before, is a joined pattern. So we're just working in rounds, and this is the line of joins, and it's not too visible. You can kind of see it better in the finished piece. You can see here there's that line of joins going all the way down his body, but it's not too visible, and what that does is that makes the stitches in line so that they really are stacked one on top of the other instead of kind of offset in like a diagonal sort of brick pattern like they are when you work in a spiral. I tried to do him in a spiral with the red stitch pattern, and it was jogging all over the place because of the spirals, so it didn't work. So I'm on to the first row where we're having a color change to red for his mouth. So the pattern called for 4 single crochets in brown, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll just pop that last one because actually when you do a color switch you need to do it in the stitch previous to the stitch that you need to do in color. So I've got my 3, 1, 2, 3 brown, and then to switch to red for the 4th stitch I'm going to put my hook in through both loops, yarn over with the brown, okay, and rather than yarn over again with the brown and pull through, I'm actually going to yarn over with the color I'm switching to, which is this red. So what I do is I kind of hold them both together to have a bit of tension. So you yarn over with the color you're switching to and pull through both loops. And then I need to do 7 single crochets in red. So that is 1, 2, oops, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm not going to do the 6th one because that's where I'm going to be switching back to brown. But on the inside you can see here, some people what they do is they let that yarn carry over in the back and then they pick it up on the other side. But what tends to happen when you do it that way is your stitches get loose, and especially when you're stuffing, they'll kind of pull apart. So what I do is I cut it, and at every color change I tie a knot. The thing is though, you want to wait until you've done at least 3 stitches in your new color, because the stitches will hold the tension properly. And when you tie your knot, you don't need to tie it like super tight because you don't want to distort your stitches that you've done. But you want to make sure that it's tight enough that it's not going to loosen up. So there's your color change there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're supposed to do 7 in red, so the 6th one. And then for our 7th one we're switching back to brown. So we go yarn over and pull through, and then for the last step we switch to our new color, which is going to be in this case brown. Yarn over and pull through both, And then we'll go ahead and do 3 or so stitches in the brown yarn to really anchor the yarn in there and have that tension set up, so that when we tie the knot we don't distort our stitches, make anything too tight, because the actual single crochet stitches themselves are going to be holding that yarn in place. It does add a bit of extra work cutting and tying the knots, but when you leave it loose in there, it can sometimes get tangled up with some of your work. And like I say, the stitches, once you're stuffing, they've got nothing really anchoring and holding everything together. So it can be, it can get kind of messy and distort your work. You can also carry over the yarn where you hold the color that you're carrying inside of the stitch and run it along the inside. But I actually find that that adds way too much bulk, and you actually see bumps, you see misshapen stitches, and that's just not a good idea. So that's what it looks like on the outside, and that's what it looks like on the inside. And doing that makes it so that, see, if we didn't switch before the last step, this little loop here would be brown, and this little loop here would be red. And so that would look weird because the stitch is right there. So that gives it more of a complete look. So in your last step, your last yarn over and pull through 2 loops, you always want to do that in the color that you're changing to.